Alright, so in this video, we are reviewing the CFMOTO Cforce. Now, when it comes to price, these machines are extremely hard to beat. However, the question then becomes, what you gain in price, are you losing in quality and performance? So that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we get too much further, welcome to the channel. This is Midwest ATV, where it's all about providing you the most value and entertainment possible when it comes to anything and everything ATV and UTV related. So if you're new, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button. Alright, so the plan for this video is to start by... nobody cares. So at the time of this video, you can get the CFMOTO Cforce in either a 400, 500, 600, or 800. For the purpose of this video, we are discussing and reviewing the CFMOTO Cforce 800. Now this 800 comes with a V-twin 800cc liquid-cooled engine that pushes 62 horsepower. It has a wet clutch with a CVT secondary, as well as electronic power steering. And while we're at it, we might as well mention that the width on this is an overall 48 inches wide. So let's go ahead and do the quick walk around so you get a better feel for the machine. So starting with the front end, I would be doing a disservice if I didn't mention that this is really where CFMOTO starts to set itself apart. And that is what they include. We talked about how inexpensive these machines are compared to some of their counterparts, but that's before we even mention the fact that these come with extras right out of the package, right off the showroom floor. For example, you've got this nice aluminum bumper right along the front, and then of course this 2,500 pound winch, again, all included. So as we move on to the suspension and wheels, this machine has AA-arm independent suspension with premium gas charged adjustable shocks. I mean, personally, I'm always a little more skeptical when they don't even really label the shocks. I will say the shocks actually are better than I expected, but we'll save all that for the impressions. As for the wheels, now these are 26-inch CST tires that sit on 14-inch alloy wheels, giving this an overall ground clearance of 10.6 inches. Now as we move behind the bars, you can see it has a beautiful looking dash, and again, that is all included at the price. This is the standard dash that this machine comes with. It has a 12-volt power supply, and here again is one of my favorite features that CFMOTO continues to include, and that is the fact that this has a full locking diff. That's right, full locking diff. You've got your two-wheel drive, your push-button four-wheel drive, and then you can flick over for your locking diff. That's what I'm talking about. CFMOTO, please don't ever stop doing that. Now this also does come with these nice handguards you see here. It's great they include that. I will say I think the design lacks a little bit, but again, that's opinion based, so we'll save that for later. Now, as we move to the back seat, this has an extremely comfortable second seat with grab bars on each side, a backrest, and a very cushiony seat that does not leave you feeling like you don't belong on this machine as a second rider. Alright, so we've made our way around the back. As you can see, this includes a receiver. Now that has a 900-pound towing capacity, and CFMOTO, keeping with their premium features included, has already pre-wired this thing for trailer use. That's right, so it's already set up. All you have to do is hook up your trailer, plug in the lights if you want, and you're good to go. So as we make our way up the back, you'll find the fuel cap located under the rear rack. Now, they've gone ahead and included a locking gas cap, I guess. What's weird is CFMOTO advertises this locking cap all over the place, like they're super proud of the fact that they did that. Is there a lot of gas theft going on that I'm just totally oblivious to? And then finally, we'll conclude the walk around by showing you the included storage bin in the rear that has a little bit of space and your included toolkit. Alright, so let's talk about some of the issues with these machines. Now, as you can see, that's a very small storage space. And I get it, it's an ATV, it's not a side-by-side, but that's it. As far as storage goes, that little compartment is pretty much all you get. So that's definitely gonna lead off what I don't like about this machine, and that is storage. There's just not enough of it. Now, the second issue I found with this machine is it's extremely hard to ship. I mean, you really have to push the foot pedal down to actually get it in and out of gear. Now, since we've talked about the foot brake, let's talk about the handbrake on this thing. CFMOTO has put the handbrake right next to the throttle. So the same hand, as opposed to most machines where it's on the opposite handlebar, CFMOTO put it on the same one. Now, I'm not saying this is a showstopper by any means, I very much don't like it. I've slowly gotten used to it after having this out on the trail multiple times. I got used to it. I still just don't like it. Bottom line. All right, so the headlights. So as you might be able to see from the video here, condensation is just built up in these. Now, while there's not currently any condensation because this has been stored inside for the last few weeks, you can still see that dirty layer and just that glaze that kind of wrecks the headlight from too much condensation being in there for a long period of time. Now, if you own this machine and it happened within the first 12 months, you could probably take it into the dealer and get it covered under warranty, but that's beside the point. This machine has not been immersed in water up to the headlights, therefore that shouldn't be this big of an issue to begin with. And we mentioned that in the CFMOTO review, how condensation built up in the dash, and in this one now it's the headlights. So I've really taken note to the fact that water and condensation buildup seems to be an issue in the electrical components of CFMOTOs, and that's definitely something to keep an eye on and be concerned about. Now, I feel like I would be wrong if I didn't take a second to mention the initial maintenance required on this machine. While you still have to do all the standard stuff you would on basically any machine you bought, the CFMOTOs also require you get the timing checked and the valves adjusted within the first, I believe, 10 hours of use. Now, if you just bought this off the showroom floor and then have to bring it back within the first, say, 30 days because you rack up 10 hours really quick, and then drop another $300 to $600 to have that work done because you may or may not be the type of person that wants to do it yourself, that's kind of crazy. To me, that's a huge con. That should be included in the price. In fact, while we're speaking about having to bring this in, I also should mention the fact that there's not a lot of CFMOTO dealers out there yet. So you may have one right next door, but you might not have one for 3 hours away. And I've had people leave comments that the nearest CFMOTO dealership is hours from their house. So that is definitely a negative as well, especially if you're gonna have to take it in for maintenance. Now, I will say, as CFMOTO has continued to grow the last few years, I've seen more and more dealerships offering the brand, but it's definitely something to keep in mind and pay attention if you're leaning towards one of these machines. And finally, the last negative thing I wanted to mention that I really already touched on was the handguards. Not a big deal, I get it. I like the fact that they're included. I think the design is absolutely terrible. It's like the one part of this entire machine that I feel like they just did a poor job on the designs. Personal opinion, but take it for what it is. So let's talk about what's awesome when it comes to these machines. Now, first and foremost, I have to mention comfort. I'm serious. I was really concerned about the CFMOTO brand and the comfort that you were gonna get from one of these machines versus a Sportsman or an Outlander. But I gotta say, I'm extremely surprised with how comfortable these actually are. I mean, honestly, the comfort on this thing, I just can't speak good enough about. I mean, it blew my mind. And maybe that's because I didn't expect it to be good, but just awesome. Now, I know I mentioned it multiple times, but I need to mention it again during this segment because I think it's that important, and that is the fact that you get so many premium features at the standard price when you get these C-Forces. I mean, you've got the storage racks, you've got the winch, you've got the locking dip. Let's talk about the locking dip. Freaking amazing. Now, I know everybody claims, oh, we've got these electronics or this and that locks the diff. Nope, not the same. Having an actual locking diff that you can physically engage or disengage yourself is amazing. And anytime that's included is just a huge selling point for me. So definitely keep that in mind. Now, I know I already mentioned comfort, but I have to mention it because it's a 2-up. This is an extremely comfortable and roomy machine for both parties, and that can't always be said for 2-up models. Both the rider and the passenger have a lot of room without feeling like they're too close to the other person or just too much in the other person's space. In fact, the passenger seat is maybe almost more comfortable than it is for the rider. You've got the backrest, the hand grips that you can hold on to. It's just an area where you can sit and enjoy the trails and all that without feeling like you're just kind of holding on or just kind of in the way. So huge plus. So overall impressions, seriously, I'm extremely impressed with this. And I can say that very unbiased. This is not sponsored in any way. I didn't even go in thinking that this was gonna be an amazing machine. I was like, well, it'll be a good value machine, but it's extremely comfortable. I know I keep going back to that. I mean, honestly, even the suspension on this thing with its no-name shocks, so I have no idea who they are. I've yet to actually be able to figure that out, so I guess it's just some off-brand CFMOTO guy, are extremely comfortable. I mean, way better than I thought they were gonna be. And then, of course, there's literally the thousands of dollars you can save by getting a CFMOTO versus some of the bigger brands. In fact, let's do this. Let's throw up a Sportsman 850 2-up and compare these super quick. Now, at the time of this video, the Cforce 800 2-up is $8,999. That's MSRP in the US. The Sportsman 850 2-up is $11,199 MSRP. Now the Cforce 800 has 62 horsepower, whereas the Sportsman 850 has 78 horsepower. Now that's obviously a big difference, so that is definitely something to keep in mind. The Cforce 800 is 48 inches wide, whereas the Sportsman 850 is 48.2 inches wide, so pretty comparable. The Cforce 800 has a ground clearance of 10.6 inches, while the Sportsman 850 has ground clearance of 11.25 inches. Again, definitely a one-up for the Sportsman there. Now they both have double A-arm independent suspension. The Cforce 800 includes a winch, the Sportsman does not. The Cforce 800 includes a locking diff. The Sportsman 850 does not. It has on-demand four-wheel drive, but again, not the same. Now, obviously specs aren't everything, but I really just wanted to show a couple of the differences and the price tag that goes with those. So obviously it's up to you to decide what's important and where you want to spend your money. I just want to try and be as unbiased and open as possible. I hope that's helpful. Again, overall, super impressed with this machine. It's extremely comfortable. It's snappier than we thought, and yes, it only has that 62 horsepower versus 78 horsepower. It is snappier and quicker than we expected it to be. Now that includes everything from straightaways to coming in and out of corners. So overall, I'm extremely impressed with this. The real question to you is, are you willing to go with that less common brand to save thousands of dollars? Or, in this case, would you prefer that higher horsepower and that more common brand name? Leave those comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope to see you on the trail.